Okay. There is a question by Aruna. Uh, she asks if someone who is into some bad habits like smoking, even when they are shown a movie clip in which one can get disease due to smoking, they still continue doing that. And although picture is the language of the subconscious or unconscious mind, uh, it's nothing that can help them to change. That's a good question, um, and there is answer for that. I still say that the language of the unconscious mind is picture and emotion, but we have to remember that this picture should be powerful enough in a way that the person feels experiencing it, okay, as if it is happening to them. All right, that way they feel it. The point is this: well, in lots of cigarette packages, there are pictures of diseases of lungs or what happens to the mouth, and everything, and many people look at it, okay, and say, oh, that's bad, and that's it. They don't feel like something like that is happening to them. If truly, if they can see with a picture that it is really happening to them, they're not going to smoke anymore. And uh, I can I can tell you this. There was a relative of ours, I remember, who was a heavy smoker, very heavy smoker, and he wanted to quit a couple of times. He couldn't. And there was one time that he got terribly sick, that he fainted because because it was a serious condition, and he was taken to the hospital, and he stayed there for 2 days, and he really got scared because it was so close, and that moment was kind of a shock to him, and he stopped it. He was smoking, I don't know, close to uh, 40 years, and he just stopped because he got scared. All right. The point is, if we are going to bring a picture, that we have to be in that picture. We have to imagine as if it is happening, positive or negative. If we want positive outcome, we have to also think about it in a very vividly, very clearly, as if it is happening right now. We have to see things through our eyes, and that is how we get the feeling out of it. And the moment you get the feeling, it means something is being changed in your in the unconscious level or at the unconscious level, and that's how it works. Dieter asked if you can ask questions. Yes, you can ask questions now, if you have
Okay,
any.
thank you very much.
You're
Yes, I
welcome.
do have. Thank you.
Sure.
Um, this is regarding the slide that you were showing about the interaction between internal representation, state, and physiology.
Right.
Um, a question, I mean, I just want to start to say that I do not try to diminish the effect of affirmation, positive thinking, visualization, but I'm just wondering, um, what if all these things that we label as negative feeling, let's say fear, anger, sadness, what if it's the subconscious way to show us that there is an underlying problem, there's an underlying issue that we need to address more seriously than kind of trying to cover it up, or in a superficial way, just changing my mood by affirmation or dancing or positive thinking.
Are you saying that affirmations may not be that effective? Is that what you say?
I'm saying it is effective, but it is not permanent solution. It's like probably a temporary going to change my mood. But what if all this negative feeling is an issue that I, like, my subconscious level is trying to tell me that there is something that I need to look more closely than just changing my mood
Hmm.
temporarily. I mean, all those, the example that you gave regarding dancing, like physiological activity, I'm just wondering, aren't those a bit superficial, or aren't there, isn't that just beginning step of kind of changing my mood, whether I should not look at into more deeply in my subconscious level that why I have this feeling.
Okay. You can see my slide right here.
Yes.
I'm sharing the screen now. You see, there are lots of things that are happening at the unconscious level, and that we have to understand each separately, and then we understand how they interact with each other in order to give us certain feelings. Emotions are very important here, all right? Um, Sometimes, as I go further today, especially, I mean, I think lunchtime and probably until 3 o'clock, we will have a very good understanding of what is happening at this level. But I want to tell you something here. When we use affirmations, we try to make some changes to the current mood. All right. If affirmations are done in the right way, definitely they can change our mood at any point of time. And at some points, if we are consistent and if we really believe those affirmations by repetition and by the good quality of repetition, what happens is they gradually make some changes to our assumptions and beliefs at this level. But the problem is this: many of us have what we call limiting beliefs. And by nature, limiting beliefs, they are called limiting because they limit us from experiencing life the way it should be. Okay. And limiting beliefs can be sometimes dangerous, sometimes um, unproductive. And these beliefs are the ones that create negative emotions all the time. For example, if someone uh, believes that he doesn't have confidence at all, okay, doesn't have confidence at all. I'm not confident. I am not confident. I can't. Oh, I can't. I don't think I can do it. It's impossible for me. That kind of thoughts and beliefs, those kind of thoughts and beliefs generate more relative thoughts and negative emotions. And those negative emotions always come to the surface when it comes to performance. Okay. And this person cannot basically perform at a good level, at a high level. All right. So affirmations are still positive, can change our attitudes about something, can change our assumptions, but they are not able to go that deep easily to change our beliefs and values. All right. So affirmations are good, but are not that specific good, are not that powerful. But we have to do them because affirmations are like taking bath every day. All right. It cleans us, but it doesn't go that deep to the deep levels of the unconscious mind. There are other ways for us to tackle conflicting values, limiting beliefs, and even bad memories, and those emotions that actually are being generated all the time from the bottom of the unconscious mind. Okay, so um, as I answer your question, I would say affirmations are good. They are very good. They can change our mood at any point of time, but we have to keep repeating them, and we have to do them in the right way in order to feel the difference and get the feeling of being good. Uh, but it does not guarantee that using these affirmations can change your beliefs or my beliefs, because sometimes beliefs are so deep at the unconscious level, and it requires some other techniques or other strategies to change them. Okay, so I think,
Uh,
yeah.
yes, that's I mean, in the previous course you explained it very clearly, and that was very convincing. But what I'm trying to understand is that the negative feeling, or what is labeled as negative feeling, is that my subconscious way to tell me about an underlying issue that I have stored in my subconscious.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So by thinking in the slide that you were showing the interaction between physiology and state, so by changing my mood by dancing or singing, am I covering it up? Or am I really
No,
going
no,
through
you're
depression?
not covering up. You're not covering it. But the point is, when we do that, we change our mood. We have more energy to be more productive, to do more. But the point is, whenever there is negative feeling coming up, there is something wrong at this level, beneath the surface level. Okay, it can be in the attitude, it can be in the assumptions, it can be because of the outcome of the habits, it can be because of the memories that we are holding for a long time and we keep retrieving them all the time, or conflicting values or beliefs. So as I go further, I will go through it, but definitely experiencing negative emotion is a sign that there is something that is not aligned beneath the surface level. Okay, it can be in one or two or many of these actually, because they also interact with each other and they may have positive or negative impact on others. So I'm going to talk about it, but yes, you're right. Negative emotion is a sign that there is something wrong, or something that requires our attention and effort or focus, basically, so to speak.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you very much.
You're welcome. All right. So I'm going to share the slides. We go a little bit further, and then I will come back for further questions. So we understood the importance of the subconscious. We understood the language of the subconscious mind. We talked about logic and analysis. That is the language of the conscious. And we talked about pictures and emotions that are basically the language of the subconscious mind. So I want to go now into every single word that we see here. We go one by one. We start with the ones that are closer to the surface so that we understand them. And then we go deeper and deeper and deeper. All right. So all of us are going to dive into this ocean, and we want to go to depth to understand what happens at each level. Let's start with the first one, that is our attitude. So basically, attitude by definition is a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something. Basically, attitude is what you think, how you feel, and what you want to do about a particular topic, be it someone or something. For example, let's say the topic is marriage, and you ask people, what do you think of marriage? Now, your attitude toward marriage is the way you think about marriage, how you feel about marriage, and what you want to do about it. Okay, thoughts, feelings, and action tendencies, as you see in my third bullet. All right, and for sure, your attitude will be reflected in the behavior that you show, your display in different circumstances, in different environments. Okay, so that's attitude, basically. So that's one. For example, you ask people about being rich, and you say, well, so what do you think of a person who is rich? Or what do you think of wealth? If the sum of, or the average of what you say is positive, connotates positivity, that means you have positive attitude towards it. If it's negative, then of course the attitude is negative. Sometimes it's the way we express our thinking, our thoughts. We interpret in certain ways. Sometimes we feel in certain ways, right? So if I go back to this slide, you can see I put attitude as the first point, because this is something that you can change, and that can be the starting point. Attitude is the easiest part that you see in this picture, that you can change it, all right? And your attitudes can be about anything, but there are certain things that you have positive attitude about, and that it's fine. But attitude becomes a problem when you feel like you have a problem. When there is a problem, the first area that you have to look into is your attitude towards that particular topic. If someone, for example, has problems in relationship issues, and you ask this person, okay, what's wrong? Tell me about it. And this person starts talking about relationship. Well, I want to be in relationship, but I can't. I don't know why. I go further, but sometimes something happens that I stop, or I ruin everything, or I just don't find anyone. Okay. The question is, the first thing that a coach actually does is to explore in the area of attitude, first of all, and then assumptions and others. And in attitude, the coach tries to understand what that client, what that person is thinking of relationship, what that person is thinking of, for example, other girls, other women. Okay. If our attitude is not positive, then whether we want or we don't, we are not going towards it. We stop somewhere because there are some complexities, there are some wrong definitions in our mind that make us feel not so positive about it. For example, many people want to get married, let's say men, okay? And they say, oh, I think it's time for me to get married. It's a good time. And then you say, why don't you get married? They said, you know what? Because marriage is responsibility. It's too much responsibility. Marriage means limitation. Marriage means, I don't know, being in a cage. Well, these are the thoughts. And definitely the emotions that come as consequently are going to be negative, right? So for sure, this person, although wants to get married consciously, something at the unconscious level says, stop it, slow it down, don't do it. It's not the right time. Same thing happens for people to get rich. Well, you might want to get rich and you want to be wealthy, you want to have more money, but if your attitude toward money is something negative, that money is evil, money is source of all evil, money is something that brings trouble, then if you want or you don't want, consciously or subconsciously, you sabotage the process of becoming wealthy. Because at the unconscious level, your attitude is not 100% positive toward what you want. Okay? And that is the significance of attitude. Now, where does attitude come from? Attitude comes from the interaction among all the rest of the elements that you see beneath this word. Okay? It comes from the interaction among assumptions, habits, your current emotions, your memories, your values, and your beliefs. And all of these interact with each other and form either positive outcome, that is a positive attitude, or negative outcome, that is a negative attitude. And again, remember that if you want to change, you have to change your emotions and your pictures, all right? A lot of things also in a form of conversation can happen to change attitudes. When someone talks to you and says, you know what, marriage is not that bad, maybe you didn't look at it, look at this person, they are so happy and they are free and they do everything together. So this person says, yes, I never thought of marriage as being free. I was thinking exactly in the opposite way. So that kind of conversation can help people to change their attitudes. And in any coaching process, the beginning step is to change attitudes and assumptions of people. Then it goes to habits and emotions and memories and values, beliefs, and so on and so forth. So basically, this is the first one. Let's talk about the second one, which is very, very important, and that is assumptions. So what are assumptions? Assumptions are what we form in advance about ourselves, about others. And assumptions are opposite of observation, okay? Because if we observe, we don't assume. If we observe, we get what is reality, what we call reality. But in assumptions, we just form some conclusion for future. In other words, we predict the future, or we predict something that we don't know about, okay? If someone approaches you and says, hello, you look at this person and you will very quickly, you form some kind of assumptions. This person wants to borrow some money probably from me. This person might be dangerous. Or sometimes we are confident about our assumptions, right or wrong. We say, this person is a bad person. I feel like this person is a bad person, right? And that's assumptions. Sometimes we make assumptions about ourselves. All right. We tell ourselves, you know what, I think I can't do it. What if I don't do it? That's assumption. That's an example of an assumption. So let's see some examples. This is what is being taught in business studies. Those who study management or business administration, either MPA or management, they're familiar with this. McGregor introduced a theory that he called it Theory X and Theory Y. And he classified managers and said that we have two types of managers. Some managers are kind of negative. He called them X managers. And there are some managers who have positive assumptions, and they are called the Y managers. And that's why his theory is called Theory X and Y, or Theory Y. So X managers, you can see in the left column, are like this. They assume, it's all about assumptions, remember. They assume that workers or people dislike their work. People avoid responsibility and they need constant direction. These managers who have X types of assumptions, they think people have to be controlled, they have to be forced, and they have to be threatened to deliver work. And they need to be supervised at every step. And people have no incentive to work, or they have no ambition, and therefore they need to be enticed by rewards to achieve goals. I want you to imagine for a moment that there is a manager, there is a man, okay? For both of them, I'm going to use example of a man so that you don't think I'm discriminating. so there is a manager, there is a man who thinks like this at workplace. He thinks people dislike their work, people don't want to be responsible, they need constant direction, and they have to be controlled and forced, otherwise they won't deliver. And they have to be supervised at every single step. And they have no ambition, they have no motivation, and that's it. So for this manager, how do you think this manager is going to behave at workplace? How do you think this manager is going to manage others? How do you think this person is going to build relationship? What kind of relationship this person is going to make? If you really focus on this, and if someone really creates all these assumptions in the left column, X kind of assumptions, then his behavior will be something like to be so forceful and autocratic, not to smile, to be damn serious, to focus so much on tasks and not paying attention to individuals as human beings, to control everybody at every single step and not allowing them to even take a break, okay? And this manager is not going to help individuals to be more creative, is not going to help people to be self-motivated. And he will be there with a stick to warn them. And with the first mistake, he's going to warn them that if you don't do it this way, I'm going to fire you. But if you do, I'm going to give you this much money. And that will be your reward. And he will look at individuals as tools, not as human beings, as tools, but as tools. And I want to tell you, and I want you to fast forward 6 months and 1 year down the road. 1 year after the time this manager is in this position, do you think people like to work for him? Do you think people want to feel responsible, or do you think people will avoid responsibility? Do you think people need to be controlled and forced? And if he's not there, do you think people are going to work independently or not? Do you think people will be ambitious to achieve higher goals, to be more creative, to work on their own pace, with their own pace? Probably not. In fact, whatever this manager thinks will come true. not because those people were like that, not because people disliked work, not because people avoided responsibilities, but because of the actions of this manager. In other words, those assumptions, those theory X type of assumptions of a manager will lead to the same result. People will react exactly in that certain way. Let's look at the other side, the right side, column Y. Now, there is another manager, okay, who holds all these assumptions of theory Y types of managers. He thinks people are happy to work and they just want to work on their own initiatives. They are creative people. They assume responsibility. To this manager, people are responsible. People are self-motivated. And people can complete tasks because they are self-motivated and they enjoy it. That's the thing. They enjoy ownership of their work, okay? And they accept responsibility, and they just need little direction and guidance in order to find out and figure out what to do, and they will figure out the details by themselves. And these people, according to this manager, people view work as fulfilling and challenging, and they just want to solve problems creatively and imaginatively. Okay? Now, if such a manager gets to this position for the same group of people, he is going to act differently for sure. He's going to give them the motivation. He's going to give them the authority and freedom. At the same time, he will coach them, he will mentor them, he will guide them, he will teach them to do it. And he holds them responsible, but he knows how to communicate with them and motivate them. And he gives them the opportunity to own their own work, to take the ownership of their works. And he prepares the situation and the stages for them so that people show their creativity and imagination, right? That leads to innovation. Now, 1 year down the road, you look at this workplace, this manager is there with all the same people, but now people are different. People love to work in this organization, in this team, and under this person's supervision. They are all responsible people. They are self-motivated, they accept responsibility, and they just need little direction in order to make sure that they are not derailed from the right track. And they love work because they feel it's challenging, it's meaningful, and it's fulfilling. In other words, these assumptions also come true. This is very significant. In many business schools, in many colleges, in business colleges and business programs, this theory is being taught, okay? That managers have theory X type of assumptions and theory Y types of assumptions. But very rarely people talk about the outcome of this theory. Why do we learn this theory? And the reason is this. I love this statement very, very much. And this is what we call the self-fulfilling prophecy. It says, if you proceed to base your behavior toward others on untested and unverified assumptions, in other words, wrong assumptions, they will be, means these people, they will be provoked and persuaded to behave in ways that your wrong assumptions come true. One more time. If you proceed to base your behavior toward others on untested and unverified assumptions, they will be provoked and persuaded to behave in ways that your assumptions come true. So this is what we want to understand. What I want you to understand is whether you think like theory X or you think like theory Y, whether you assume like people in theory X or you assume like people in theory Y, you are right. Whatever you assume will make you behave in certain ways that your assumptions come true. If you have wrong assumptions about yourself, they will come true. If you have good assumptions about yourself, they will also come true. If someone imagines that he is not smart enough, that's an assumption. Okay, what if I'm not smart enough? What if I'm not like others? What happens is that what if is going to show its power because the unconscious mind is serving us again. All right. And the unconscious mind gets that as a command and says, yes, Captain, I'm going to do it for you. And your unconscious mind is going to prove to you that your assumption is right. Therefore, the first moment that you cannot solve a problem, your unconscious mind with a like an inner voice says, you see, you're not good enough. You see, you cannot do it. You see, you're not smart. And you are right. Now, if at the same time you were like opposite, you were thinking at that time totally in opposite way, and you were saying, no, I'm a smart person and I'm going to figure out what it is. There is no what if because I know that I'm smart enough and I am smart. Then what happens is when you face the same problem and you cannot solve it, your unconscious mind is not going to give up. Your unconscious mind says, it's okay, I'm going to figure out. I don't know how, but I'm going to keep probing and probing and probing until I find it. And this is how someone becomes, quote, stupid, and someone becomes, quote, smart. This is how it happens. Our assumptions can be constructive or destructive. Our assumptions can be about ourselves. At the same time, it can be about other people. I'm going to give you some examples here. Look at the left column again. These are assumptions of a girl, okay? This girl says, there is no good man for me. All good men are either married or unavailable. I am not lucky. Men are not loyal. And I am destined to be alone. I don't know until when, maybe forever, maybe for the next 5 years or whatsoever. If these are assumptions of a girl, how do you think this girl is going to react to its environment, to her environment? How do you think she's going to react as if a boy approaches her? How do you think she's going to act or react on a date? If someone wants to propose to her, what do you think will be her feeling? Well, you definitely have some idea here. If she believes that, okay, these are assumptions, but be careful because assumptions can become beliefs. And when they become beliefs, they go to the bottom of the unconscious mind and they become very sticky. They just want to stay there for a long, long, long time. So if this girl sees a boy who is physically attractive, emotionally available, and professional, okay, good enough, and at the same time, she holds the assumption that there is no good man for me, what she will say in conclusion is either this man is not for me, or this man doesn't know me, and if he understands me, he's going to leave me. Right? Why? Because the assumption is there at the unconscious level. Because she thinks all good men are unavailable and there is no good man for her. Okay? Or she is not lucky. And when an opportunity comes, she says, she wants it. That's what the mind wants, the conscious mind wants. But the unconscious mind says, no, this is not for you. Because if you have him, that means you're lucky, but you are not lucky. There is conflict here in the algorithm. So it doesn't work. And even if he's good, he's not going to be loyal. And what happens is this girl becomes very skeptical, very controlling, because she is thinking, she's assuming that men are all like that. That's an example of generalization. So what do you expect in the relationship? It's either sabotage at the early stages, or if it's ongoing, it's toxic. Because the girl is not confident, the girl is not happy, doesn't have peace of mind, because at any point of time, She is scared if there is any sign of disloyalty, betrayal, cheating, because she doesn't think she deserves a good relationship. That's the power of assumption. We form assumptions, but we give them to the unconscious mind. Our unconscious mind is not smart enough to filter our assumptions. It accepts whatever we say to ourselves. Whatever we say to ourselves, that becomes our reality, because we will act upon them. And that's the theory of self-fulfilling prophecy. Because whatever you see here is going to happen. You might say, no, let's say, what if that man was very loyal? Well, that man used to be loyal, but when she is controlling her all the time and she says, who is this girl? Who is that? Where are you going? Tell me, report to me. What is the feeling that this boy is going to get? Do you think he's going to enjoy the relationship? Or at some point he says, you know what? I'm done. I'm tired. I don't want to continue. And then he goes somewhere else. Yeah, and all assumptions come true. That is the power of assumptions. Now, I also wrote a couple of other examples. Like, there are separate examples, but these are also other sorts or examples of assumptions that we might have or other people might have. One simple assumption is, what if other people don't like me? I'm going to go to a party and I don't know many people, and I say, what if they don't like me? Well, that's an assumption. But if I have that assumption, what do you think, or how do you think I will feel when I enter or before I enter? I feel anxious. I feel lack of self-confidence. I don't have confidence because I'm scared, because there is an assumption. There's a question mark about myself and my ability, my attractiveness, my whatever positive strength or whatever positive point. So I ask myself, I keep asking myself, what if people don't like me? So the outcome is going to be people not liking me. Why? Because I will not perform to the best of my ability, because I will not be myself. I try to fake it, but my body cannot hide everything. Your mind and your body are affecting each other, are interconnected. What happens on the inside will be reflected on the outside. So I feel terrible on the inside. I feel insecure on the inside. How do you think I can project it with my eyes, through my smile, through my movements, through my dancing, through my interaction, through my handshaking and whatsoever? Another assumption, she seems to be a bad person. Well, we think of someone, we meet someone for the first time and say, oh, she seems to be a bad person. Because I remember someone in the past who resembled her, who was like her. Same height, same age, and same physical attributes. So I assume that this person is also as bad as she was. So this is an assumption. And what happens is we feel bad, our attitude is negative, and we try to hide the emotion. We cannot hide the emotion. What happens is our behavior will be in a way that we will motivate that person to show bad behavior. And the moment we see the first sign of negative behavior or bad behavior, we say, you see, I told you, I told myself, I knew it, I'm so smart. I just know about people. I'm a people person and I'm so good. My radars are so sharp and they get the information. Well, this is here. If you base your behavior toward other people over untested and unverified assumptions, these people will be persuaded or provoked to behave in certain ways that your assumptions, right or wrong, come true. So we have to be careful about assumptions that we make about ourselves and about others. Another assumption, I'm silly. I just gave you that example. Well, that is also very destructive. That is very destructive. So we have to stop our wrong assumptions because, my friends, I tell you this, wrong assumptions will lead to destructive beliefs. Bad assumptions will lead to beliefs, and once they become beliefs, it's difficult to change. I'm not saying it's impossible. No, there are certain ways. For sure, there are ways, but it becomes difficult. It becomes sticky. It goes to the bottom, and sometimes even we can't We don't know that we have those kind of beliefs. And that's the danger. But the good thing is, at any point of time, you can start assuming something opposite, assume something different. It's all about assumptions. So assume something positive. Assume that you are full of energy. Assume that you are healthy. Assume that you can do it. You are motivated. You are great. You are wonderful. You are good enough. You don't have to listen to other people. You don't need other people's confirmations that you are good enough, because you are. And that can be an assumption. And that can be an empowering assumption for you. Similarly, if someone says, I may not be able to do it. Yes, there is may not, but this may not bring fear. Isn't it like that? A sentence such as, I may not be able to do it, definitely is going to bring fear for us, feeling insecurity for us, feeling uncertain. Sometimes also assumptions can be good. For example, if we say, he is good, he is a nice person, he seems sweet, that can be also a good assumption. And in many classes, I shared with people the story of my brother. I have two brothers, and I'm the first child in the family. And my second brother is 3 years younger than me. And in one of these, I remember when we were kids, my brother seemed to be very naughty. He was crazy. He was super active. I don't know if he was diagnosed officially with ADHD or we were told that way. My dad is a doctor, and he was also saying that he is ADHD. The point was, he was kind of naughty. Like, he was destructing almost every toy, everything. And my mom used to say, I cannot leave him alone for a couple of minutes because he's going to destroy something. If he was quiet, my mom was very scared because she was thinking something is happening, and this boy is sabotaging something. And even I remember that teachers were so, I don't know, I mean, scared of him. That's not the word that I should put, but definitely he was making lots of uncomfortability in school for teachers and others. But I want to tell you this. He was very naughty everywhere except one place, and that was when we were in my grandmother's home. Because I vividly remember every time we were talking about my brother, my grandma was saying, oh my God, don't talk about him like that. He is a sweet angel, and he is so sweet. You don't know how nice and polite and calm he is. He is wonderful. You don't know because you haven't seen him. And I remember he was saying that in front of him. She was saying that in front of him. She was saying that when my brother was not around. But my brother was behaving differently there. He was cooperative. He was making tea sometimes for us. He was washing dishes. And can you imagine, for a boy that everyone is so crazy about, is so sweet in this situation? Why? Because of the assumptions. Because assumptions make us behave in certain ways. Not in certain ways, but actually in accordance with how we think and how we assume. And that brings results for us. And people react to that. So we can assume about ourselves, we can assume about others. You're free to do that. But if you're doing it, make sure there is positive outcome for you. Because negative assumptions will not lead to positive outcomes. That is important. So this is, in a nutshell, the theory of self-fulfilling prophecy. It starts with the orange circle there, your assumptions. You form some assumptions about others, about yourself, and let's say about other people, and you will have some certain feelings because of those assumptions. If assumptions are positive, your feelings are good or positive. If your assumptions are negative, your feelings are going to be negative. And definitely after you feel in certain way, you're going to behave according to your feeling. We behave according to our feelings and emotions. And those behaviors are going to affect other people's perception. people perceive something out of our actions and reactions. And then, based on their perceptions, they're going to feel in certain ways. They may also assume something, and then they react. And these reactions basically are the result of their perceptions that is the consequence of our behavior and our feeling. So therefore, the reaction will lead to our new assumptions. So most of the time, if it's a negative cycle, a negative emotion assumption is formed, negative feelings are around it, we behave in a certain way, people perceive it and react to us in a way that our assumptions come true. That's simple. And that is self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, you can extend this to all aspects of your life for yourself as well. You can assume something positive about yourself. You feel positive about yourself as well. And because of that, your actions are going to be in a way to prove to you that your assumptions were true. So you keep going, you keep going, you keep going until you get that assumption. So it becomes a cycle and it comes back to the assumptions. So the starting points are assumptions. We have to be careful. We have to be conscious of how we assume and what we assume. That's the key point. I also want to tell you a little bit about the beliefs, but I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. I want to see if there is any question. Okay, I think there is no question here. All right. Okay, so let me tell you about assumptions. Not assumptions, I mean, let me tell you about beliefs. And after that, if there is any question, I will be answering for sure. Okay, I want to tell you about beliefs because beliefs are very fundamental. They are very important and very critical, and they affect every aspect of our lives. Every aspect of our lives. I'm going to share the screen again. And so for now, I want to tell you a few stories, and then we will have some certain conclusions about them. The first story I want to share with you is this. This is a true story. In 1954, there was a world record that hadn't been broken for 8 years. The record was running 1 mile distance in 4 minutes. And no one could break this record that you see here, 4.1 minutes, okay? And because it was so close to 4 minutes, many runners had tried to break it to go below 4, but it was kind of impossible. And people were thinking that it is not possible to do it. Even during those times, there were lots of studies where runners were being studied in order to find out if it is possible to run below 4 minutes or not, or earlier than that or not. But it wasn't possible until that year, 1954. And there was a runner called Roger Bannister, who was a medical student. And during Olympic Games in Montreal in 1954, he broke the record and he just went just below 4 minutes. And that was something that suddenly became the big news. And even now, he is a famous person because he broke a very, very important point, a record in the world. All right, 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds. But this was not actually that astonishing and that surprising. But the surprise came 2 months after that someone else broke his record, broke Roger Bannister's record in 3 minutes and 57 seconds. And after that, other people came and broke those records. And now the record is with this guy from Morocco who could do it in 3 minutes and I think 43 3 seconds. So 17 seconds improvements. And that is one story I wanted to tell you. The second one, this is my favorite, and this is true. There was an industrial freezer um, in a company, and someone uh, went inside in order to find out how many items are being stored there. So he had a checklist, and he went through different shelves, looked at the items, and took note of the items that are still here and the items that are actually taken out. And upon exiting, he approached the door, the exit door, and he noticed that the door is locked. And he tried a couple of times to open the door, but he wasn't able to do it. And so he got scared because it's a freezer and it's cold and it's freezing. And he started shouting and knocking on the door or beating the wall on the wall so that someone hears him on the outside. But unfortunately, no one was there. Probably it was the end of office hours and everyone went back, and he was the only one in that area, and he was locked in here. He got scared, and he wrote something on piece of paper, on papers that he had. He wrote kind of report on like how he was feeling. So he was writing that I'm feeling cold, it's freezing, and I don't know, I can't survive. It's very cold, it's getting colder and colder, it's getting closer to the midnight as well, and I don't think I can survive. I hope someone opens the door. Hours later, he wrote something, and his last words were for after midnight, where he wrote, if for the next 20 to 30 minutes, someone, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes to half an hour, someone doesn't open the door, I don't think I'm going to be alive. Because he was feeling numb in all his fingers, his face, and it was super, super freezing there. And unfortunately, when people came back the next day, they opened the door in the morning, they found his frozen corpse, and he was dead. But what was surprising to everybody was the freezer was not working. Yes, the freezer was not working. So it wasn't that cold. It wasn't that chilled and that cold to kill someone. And this is true. This is the power. This is what we find out about the power of beliefs. There are thousands of examples about people's beliefs. And sometimes beliefs are just like that. Sometimes beliefs can make significant changes. It can impact us in a negative way. This is another story of a student and two maths questions. There was a student in a class who fell asleep. And when the class was over, one of his classmates woke him up and he said, "Hey, wake up, the class is over." He woke up and he was the only one in the class. He looked around and he looked at the blackboard and he saw two math problems that the professor wrote for them. So very quickly, he took a piece of paper and he wrote those questions to solve the problems and come back as part of their assignment for next week, for the following week. And throughout the week, he struggled. It was difficult for him to answer these two questions, but he managed to answer those two questions, one of them, but for the other one, he wasn't able to finish. And he didn't have the chance to communicate with other classmates. So next week, he came to class, and at the beginning, he approached the teacher and says, "Sir, I solved one of these problems, but I'm sorry I couldn't." He needed some good mark for that course. And the teacher just looked at him, feeling astonished, and said, "You did this? You did solve this problem?" He said, "Yes, but I couldn't do it for the other one." So what was strange for this teacher was this, that he wrote these two questions on the board because he explained to students that these two math problems are unresolved and people could not find answers to this. But this student could, because he believed that this was an assignment and this is obvious that he can do it. If he was awake like any other student in class, he could have easily said, you know what, it's too complicated. No wonder nobody is able to solve this problem. But he did because he didn't know. There are lots of stories, lots of examples in the other class. I talked about the $5,000 salesperson. There is another story of a deaf frog that is in a hole that tries to come up and to climb up, um, and because it is deaf, it doesn't hear other people saying, "Don't come up, you can't, you can't, and you can't," and the frog comes up. There are lots of stories, lots of examples, lots of true stories, basically, that have happened to many people, and this is basically about our beliefs. But before I go further to beliefs, I want to talk about three simple terminologies that we use. I just want you to be able to differentiate between belief and the other two. One is opinion. Opinions are our viewpoints or judgments, okay, that we form about something. Someone tells you, "Oh, I want to study art. What's your opinion?" That is your view. That is your judgment about something. It doesn't have to be true. It's just something that you feel like it's good, and then you explain it, okay? That is opinion. But belief is something much deeper than an opinion. Belief is acceptance, acceptance of a statement as to be true, or something that exists, or something that you think exists. So basically, in simple words, beliefs are kind of statements that you make and you assume that they are true, or you are convinced that they are true. These become your beliefs. All right? Convictions are also beliefs, but they are, by definition, they are, a conviction is basically a firmly held belief or opinion. If you focus on an opinion or belief that you hold on to it, and there is no way you change your mind about it, you have a conviction. All right. So I want to talk to you about these two, conviction and beliefs, but under the umbrella of this terminology about beliefs. And I want to tell you this: whatever you think is true, or whatever you believe in, becomes your reality. And your body and your unconscious mind is going to react on that particular thing. Okay? You have definitely, most probably, not definitely, but most probably have heard of the placebo effect. The placebo effect is very simple. People have issues, people have headaches, people feel depressed, and they are not okay, and doctors give them medicine. But in certain studies, what they did was they randomly give two categories of solutions to people with the same problem. One was they gave them real drugs, real medicine. And to the second category, they gave them placebo drugs. Okay, something that is totally neutral. There is no medical value, there is no medical ingredient. It's just totally neutral without any effect. In one study, it was very, very interesting. I just want to share with you. People were depressed, okay? And they gave them two categories: one, placebos, fake drugs, and the other, real medicine. And the result was this: 25% of people who said they had improvement, they showed improvement after they used the medicine. And in that study, what was so surprising was close to 50% of those people who used placebos said it was effective and they feel better. Can you just imagine how powerful and how important this can be? When people believe something to be true, it becomes the reality. Their unconscious mind reacts to it as reality. So if someone gives you a piece of candy and says, this is the world's most sophisticated medicine to change your mood to happy mood, when you take it, you feel like you're becoming happy. If you believe it, your mood changes. And this is something big, something huge, something that probably some pharmaceutical companies don't want to reveal this information. And close to 25% to, no, I'm wrong. Close to 40% of studies that are done by pharmaceutical industry are not going to be revealed. They don't reveal the information. They just keep it secret because it's not in favor of them. I'm not saying medicine is bad, not at all. Please don't get me wrong. But what I want to tell you here specifically is that it is very, very important to understand that your belief is the most powerful tool for you in your life. And I want you to have a look at this picture. When baby elephants are taken to circus, in order to control them, they chain them. All right, and this chain is more powerful than these little creatures. And this baby elephant tries to run away, tries to break the chain, make some movement, but cannot. And after some time, this baby elephant gives up everything and says, "Oh, I'm tired, I can't do it." And the moment the baby elephant gives up, it is over forever. And what that means is when this baby elephant becomes bigger and larger and more powerful and stronger than ever before, the chain is still there, but this elephant is much stronger than that chain. But the elephant never tries to break it because it thinks that it is not able to break it. And that is enough for it to stop everything. For us as individuals also it happens. If we believe that we are not good enough, we stop trying. We stop doing. We stop expressing ourselves because some sounds on the inside says, you are not good enough. You can't do it. And that becomes a belief. And remember again, the self-fulfilling prophecy. The moment it becomes a belief or assumption, we start acting in ways that those assumptions come true. And then after 20 years, after 30 years, we say, you know what? I'm not a confident person. I don't know why. I want to be confident, but I don't know how. And I can't. It is because it has become a belief and it has become a part of memory. Why? Because we acted upon what we believed in over and over and over. We made habits and we made memories as consequence. And people gave us this feedback that you are not confident, you are not confident. Why are you like this? Why are you like that? And we were penalized, we were criticized. And that's how we feel now. We feel that we are not confident. But this I am not confident statement is wrong. It's just a belief that we form. So it is our choice. We either have functional beliefs or dysfunctional beliefs. Functional beliefs are kind of beliefs that are positive and work for us. If I say, I am creative and I am full of energy, and if that gives me good level of energy, if it gives me creativity, it is functional. But if I say, I can't get into a good relationship, I always ruin my relationships, and I'm not lucky enough, well, these are all examples of dysfunctional beliefs because they are not going to help me function as in a good life, right? And therefore, I never get good results because of that. Your beliefs can be either empowering or disempowering. Your beliefs either give you power or make you weak. But it is, again, up to you to choose which one you want. You want to feel empowered or you want to be weak? You want to be a victim? Which one you want? Beliefs can be liberating to free us or can be limiting. If a person says, you know what, I'm a lazy person, I've been lazy all my life. well, you are right and you will be right. But it doesn't matter how you were before. If you can change your beliefs, you change your now and you change your future, your immediate future and your long-term future. If someone says, oh, you know what? I've been procrastinating all my life, as far as I remember, and I can't change it. This phrase, I can't change it, is not going to change anything because you limit yourself to something that is not right, but it becomes your reality and it comes true for you. Are your beliefs liberating you or limiting you? I want you to take it. I want you to take a moment and think about it. Think about your beliefs and see what kind of beliefs you have. Are they limiting you or are they liberating you? Are they dysfunctional or are they functional for you? And I'm also open to questions if there is any question. After that, we will go and talk about memories that are also very important. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if any of you have questions, I am here to answer. Let's see if there is any question. So meanwhile, you can think of your beliefs. Maybe you can write it on a piece of paper, the things that are your inner voice, the things that are basically, when you're frank with yourself, that's where you can find your beliefs, okay? If you find an area in your life that you are not happy about, you're not so satisfied about, you're not that confident about, definitely there are limiting beliefs there. All right, I want you to think about them, and if you can identify the area you have a problem, you will definitely be able to find some limiting beliefs there in your list for sure. Okay, so you can think about them, you can write them down, and if anyone has a question, I am open also to receive and to also talk to you. Is there any question about what I shared with you about assumptions and beliefs? Okay, there are two questions. One question is asked by Katrina. Katrina says, is it easier to change opinions than convictions? Yes, for sure. Opinions are at the surface level. They are easy to change. And the first thing that we can do is to change opinions because opinions are about how you feel about something and your taste, okay? So yeah, they are at the surface level, and certainly you can make some changes to them. You can change everything. You can also change your beliefs when you use the right system or method. But basically, opinions are much easier for us to change than its belief. When it becomes conviction, it's kind of sticky because there is a protection mechanism in the mind that the subconscious mind wants to protect everything that is there, and the conscious mind also wants to protect it. I will tell you after the lunch break in the evening session, I will definitely talk about that particular thing. Atifa also asked me this question. Please explain again about difference between opinion, belief, and conviction. Okay. Simply saying opinion is your view or judgment about something. Okay. For example, if someone tells you, you know what, I want to go and start playing guitar. Okay, I want to learn how to play guitar. I like it. Then you can share your opinion. You say, to me, that's a judgment. Guitar is not a good instrument for you. It doesn't give you, it doesn't make you a professional, all right? Don't play guitar, play piano. Well, that's an opinion, right? Because you're sharing with someone your view of something or your judgment of something that you have formed in your life for whatever reason. And basically, opinions may not be a fact, may not be true. It's just what you think, okay, and how you feel about it. You judge something based on that. Beliefs are what I told you, what I explained to you. Beliefs are basically an acceptance of a statement. For example, the statement is, I am stupid. That's a statement. Another statement, I am not confident. That's a statement. Or I am so creative and I can solve any problem. That's also another statement that I accept for myself. From the bottom of my heart, I accept this, all right, as my reality. I accept it as my thing, the thing that I believe in. So basically, this is belief, okay? Convictions are also beliefs, but they are hard, very, very deeply rooted, okay? And we protect them, okay? However we can, we try to protect them because we hold these beliefs and we just don't want to lose them, okay? If someone, for example, someone who believes in God and who is a religious person has a conviction that there is something called God, and that is the source of power. It's not an opinion that's, you know what, maybe there is God, maybe not. To this person, there is conviction. It's a strong and firmly held belief that there is such thing we call God, and is the ultimate source of power, and so on. Okay, that is conviction. So convictions are basically beliefs, but they are much deeper, and we protect them uh, with everything we have. All right, that's the thing. Aruna also asked this question: if a particular underlying belief is very deep, and if a person is not aware of it at the conscious level, how do we identify the same? Okay, good question. If we have some beliefs that we don't know we hold, yes, this is actually, in reality, this is true, because we have lots of beliefs that we don't know we hold. We just don't know. It's just there. But if you want to know if there is any belief, it's very simple. If there is a problem in your life, in relationship, in career, in health, in making money, in whatever, there might be, if it's me, I would say definitely, but I want to play it safe, and I say most probably there are some limiting decisions and limiting beliefs. Okay, and that's how you can find out that there is a problem. And then the second question you can ask yourself is, okay, if I have problems in my relationships, what are my beliefs about relationships? What are my beliefs about other men or other women? What are my beliefs about happiness in relationship? What are my beliefs about me being in a good relationship? When you think of these questions and you are frank to yourself, totally frank to yourself, totally candid, you answer these questions, you will figure out those things that are blocking, those things that are stopping you, those things that are hindering you from getting what you want. So you can basically do that. All right. So there is another comment. Yes, I believe in God. What about for those who are afraid of witchcraft and feel that they are being attacked by witchcraft? And how do we not put any power into it? Well, this is very interesting at being cursed. I was reading a book called Psycho-Cybernetics. This is a very classical book, a very old book. And there's a story just like that about a man who felt like he was cursed by his girlfriend. So he was into a relationship, and um, I may not tell you exactly what happened, but more or less this is the same thing. And he felt he was in this relationship with this woman, and for some reasons they broke up. And upon breaking up, this girl was so angry, and he kind of cursed her with magic or black magic or whatever. And this guy believed in those things. And the moment she was leaving, she said this and left. In that very moment, this guy felt totally suddenly empty on the inside, so scared on the inside, and insecure on the inside. And he felt, what if that comes true? I hope not. But from the next day, he felt like there is something in his lips, okay, in his lower lip, and there was a like solid, uh, tough substance, and he was super scared, uh, and he felt it's a demon or it's something bad here, evil, sucking all his uh, energy and his vitality and his uh, age and everything, and he started aging very fast. Well, this is a true thing. You can read the book Psycho-Cybernetics in a book. It's beautiful. And there he thought it's going to happen, it's happening. And he went to this plastic surgeon and he told him about his problem. So this surgeon, uh, being familiar with this concept, he knew that it definitely it's not something so big. He said, okay, we can do a surgery and I can remove it for you, but I can guarantee you it's nothing. But this guy was believing in that. So after a surgery, when that particular thing was removed, the guy came back and he got all his energy and all his good feelings and everything. So how did this happen? It is because he was thinking that there is such a thing that is actually consuming him and gradually making him very old. And definitely, if we have beliefs like that, we will be affected by other people's actions and reactions. This is very interesting to tell you, but there are also studies about people who believe in fortune telling. And uh, if someone, like, let's say, if I am believing very much in fortune tellers and what they say to me, if I go there and they tell me that next year or next week there is something interesting happening to you, well, that becomes a new belief for me. And from that very moment, I'm going to seek something happy, seek happiness, seek good news. And for sure, my mind is ready to interpret something simple as a good news for me. And that comes true. And then you know what? I say, you know what? That person is amazing because she or he predicted that this is going to happen to me. And I truly believe in fortune telling. Beliefs are the most important thing. Beliefs can be constructive, can be super destructive. We have to be careful about them. And if they are good, if they are positive, definitely lots of good things happen to us. Also about how to change beliefs, I will tell you. And one question is, how can we try to fake it? I will tell you because I will talk about the power of imagination and also methods that are available in that in this area basically, and definitely you will get some more ideas. Do we have any other question? I can answer one more question before I go a little bit further before we go for lunch. Okay, I guess not. So let me go through the slides one more time, and I want to share with you something in addition to what we said. Okay, so far we talked about attitudes, we talked about assumptions, and we talked about beliefs, right? Attitude, assumptions, and beliefs. Although belief is at the bottom, but the reason I talked about beliefs earlier is because it is much related to assumptions. Because our assumptions, right or wrong, will lead to beliefs sooner or later. All right? I just wanted you to make a good connection between assumptions and beliefs in that regard. So now I want to tell you a little bit about memories. That explains everything, many things actually, and basically for you. As I told you, your subconscious mind, your unconscious mind does not understand logic. It doesn't work based on logic. It works based on the sum of everything that you see here that are active, that are interacting with each other. Okay? And basically that's how it works. So one of the major criteria of the subconscious mind to give us certain feelings or thoughts is right here, emotion, memories. Because your subconscious mind retrieves memories. Remember, 90 billion beats per second. The moment you see something, your subconscious mind goes through your memories with regard to that context in a matter of a second, right? And it will provide a very nice profile of all past memories with regard to that issue at hand. Now, here's the interesting part of it. If someone wants to change her future, if someone wants to change her future and her past is full of negative memories, how is it possible to change the future when when her subconscious mind is going to react based on the past negative memories or bad memories that she was holding all the time? That's the challenge, right? So the point is here, and the answer is here. Yes, that is right. It is very difficult to do that because memories are one major center or point of reference for the unconscious mind. If we want to be healthy, okay, our subconscious mind goes through our profile in memories with regards to the topic of health. And it looks through it to see how often we were healthy, how often we were sick, and so on. If the subconscious mind retrieves thousands and tons of information or memories, lots of memories about we being sick, how can it help us to change our mood, to give us better feeling about health? Well, it's a big challenge. It is, because that's a point of reference. But there is one trick that every single one of us can do. And I tell you, we want to change. Tonight, we decide to make lots of changes in our lives. Okay? And we say, okay, from tomorrow, I'm going to wake up earlier. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to read 1 hour per day. I'm going to watch educational videos. I'm going to interact with this. I'm going to make some changes in my life. And I'm going to go to gym. And I will follow a good diet. Tomorrow, we will wake up. We will wake up with memories of the past. And we will wake up with emotions of the past. Because memories of the past will lead to emotions of the past, will lead to thought patterns of the past, will lead to self-talks of the past. And if 90% of our self-talks, beliefs, new talks, thoughts, and emotions are those of the past, 90% of today's behavior is going to be behavior of the past. In other words, we are going to repeat our past over and over and over all the time. And that is because our subconscious mind is designed to do that for us. Now, if someone wants to make significant changes in future from tomorrow, the only way, not the only way, but one of the best possible ways for every single one of us is to make some changes in the memories. But not memories of the past, but memories of the future. You can create a memory of the future by imagining you performing at your highest performance, highest capacity. You can imagine yourself with confidence. Well, I agree. You may not have done lots of things confidently in the past, although you have done lots of confident things as well. But if your past memories are full of negative feedback for you or negative pictures or videos or scenarios, what you can do is to think of your future. We have this superpower, and that is imagination. No other animal in this world can do this. And we can imagine what we want in future. We can imagine our desired self. We can imagine and we can picture doing the best thing or doing the right thing in the future. So what is the significance of that? The moment you start imagining yourself doing something good, you are making and creating a new memory of yourself in your mind. And that imagination, remember I told you your unconscious mind does not understand what you experience now or what you're seeing. It's fake or it's real, it doesn't matter. Your unconscious mind reacts to it. Your unconscious mind treats that as your reality. It will store your reality in the memory section. So tomorrow, when you wake up, let's say last night you imagined you go to gym, you go and practice and you feel good at the end and you take a shower and that's how you feel great, you feel awesome, you feel relieved, that will be very effective. So next day, when you wake up in the morning, going to gym is not unknown to you, is not unknown, area of unknown to your unconscious mind, because your unconscious mind has been there. Because to your unconscious mind, you have been in a gym before. So this is not a time that you're going to do for the first time because you've done it before. Now, if you keep imagining like that and bringing mental pictures, you train your unconscious, and in other words, you train your body to behave differently in the future. And that is the power of imagination. Let me give you an example of imagination, a true story, a true study that is also amazing. A group of students were being asked to do something. They gave them, they took them to the basketball court, and they asked them to throw the ball in the basket. So they tried. They divided them into 3 different groups. Group number 1, group number 2, and group number 3. And they measured their performance and their results, all right? And they told them, okay, guys, thank you so much. You can go home and you can come back in 21 days. But there were 3 groups. To group number 1, they told them every day you have to come here and you have to practice for minimum of 20 minutes per day, okay, for 20 days. So all these students from that group had to go there and practice every single time. Group number 2, they said, you go home, you don't have to do anything, come back in 21 days. Group number 3, they said, you go home, you don't have to practice, you don't have to come here, but you have to practice it in your head. They taught them how to think and how to imagine. They told them, you imagine you are here, you imagine you take the ball, okay, feel it, feel the feeling of holding it, and you throw it into the basket. And you imagine that every time you throw it in the basket. So it's 20 minutes of successful performance over and over and over for 20 minutes for 20 days. And then come back in 21 days. So group A, group B, group C. When they came back, they asked them to perform. Group A performed and they measured their results. The result was 25% improvement in their performance. Good job for a period of 20 days. That's good. Group B, they asked them to do the same thing. There was no significant improvement in their performance. Well, it was kind of obvious. How about group C? Group C showed 24% improvement in their performance. They never touched the ball for the period of 20 days, but they showed 24% of improvement as opposed to 25%, which is very close. We can say this, it's just the same. When we imagine, we train our unconscious mind. We train our body. And when you imagine, your unconscious mind will take care of you and your body, will program your muscles, muscle memories, in order for you to perform in a better way. Now you can extend this to any aspect of your life, to different aspects of your life. You can make changes by doing this. Everybody can. We can keep practicing and practicing and practicing in the head. Now imagine if you could practice physically and mentally, what would be the outcome? If you are having a big presentation and it's important for you, practice it in your head. All successful people keep practicing in their head. They review it one one at a time, over and over and over and over. Well, when I have presentation, if I have 1 hour or half an hour presentation, I prepare my slides, I keep thinking about them, and I prepare my slides. But as I'm in the street, as I'm at work, as I'm doing something, as I'm cooking, as I'm eating, sometimes the idea just come to my mind. The way I walk, the way I talk, the way I stand, the way people react to me positively, and how I feel about it. So in other words, it is like I am in front of mirror and I keep physically practicing. Both of them are good. I'm not saying one is a replacement for the other, but I can tell you when you put these two together, they are amazing. They're going to change your life. They are super powerful. Super powerful. Do it and you will get results. So I come back to this slide to show you this, the power of you and your imagination. So in simple words, one more time, when you imagine something for future, okay, you are programming your unconscious mind. You're proving to your unconscious mind that you can do it. All right, I go back here to show you to understand how it works. Okay, right here. When you imagine, it is your memory. You are creating new memories. And imagine you keep imagining and imagining and imagining and imagining you performing in the best possible way. Okay, someone is unmute. Let me find them. Okay. It happens in lives, in webinars. Okay, so as you imagine, you create memory, you keep creating memories and memories and memories. What else? If you're imagining you being at the highest performance or getting the result that you deserve and you want, you are also generating positive emotions, not just positive memories, but also positive emotions. And if you keep practicing it, it's as if you are doing it. So in other words, you can also create new habits. And when you imagine something for the future, imagine yourself doing a good performance, you are changing your assumptions about yourself and your ability. And you can also change your attitude about doing that, because now you can do it in a good way. And because you feel good, you have positive attitude about it. Because attitude is all about your thinking, your thoughts, your emotions or feelings, and your action tendencies. So everything becomes positive. And gradually it can also become your belief. So with imagination, you can actually literally change everything there. And what is the language of imagination? Picture. By nature, imagination is picture, is scenario that you see in the form of a movie or a picture. And those pictures, if they are ideal, they give you good emotions. If you're imagining yourself presenting in the best possible way with highest level of confidence, where everyone is clapping for you and everyone is just looking at the way you present and they are so impressed by your way of presentation, when you play it in your head, not only you're creating pictures and scenarios, but also you live it. When you live it, you're feeling the emotion, you're experiencing an emotion. And when you have picture plus emotion, it means you're changing. You're talking to your unconscious mind with its own language. That's the language of the unconscious mind. It's nothing complicated. It's simple, right? So that will be our starting point for the evening session. Because I will be talking about the principles of goal setting for us, and definitely it will be very, very useful. So let me see the time. We have 9 more minutes. Okay, let me just tell you number one in 1 minute, and then I want to answer questions if there are any. Then we will go for lunch break. In order for us to write our goals, there are lots of formulas. Some, probably most of you have heard of SMART goals. SMART goals are very good. They are very useful because you can write something specifically specific, measurable, achievable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Well, these are good, but it's not everything. There are other things that are missing. And I want to tell you those missing pieces that when you put them together, everything makes sense and it becomes functional then. Many people set goals, but they don't know all aspects of it. When they are not informed about all aspects of it, they can't get the results that they deserve. Why? Because something is missing. Sometimes it's the attitude, sometimes there are beliefs that are conflicting there. Okay, sometimes it's not the picture that they create. So they talk about it in the language of the conscious and they expect the unconscious mind to react, and it doesn't happen. It will never happen. That is why many people write their goals and nothing happens in their life. They may change for a week, but they come back to the normal life. Why is that? Does it mean that determination is not the key point? No, it is. But besides determination, we need the right language to change the algorithm in the subconscious mind. In other words, to reprogram the subconscious mind. And the first thing for everybody, regardless of what you want, is this: state what you want in the positive. It should be positive. And you know why. Because if you say, I don't want to be angry, I don't want friction in my relationship, I don't want conflict, I don't want my partner to control me, that happens. You know why already. So don't say in a negative way. Don't say the things you don't want. Don't say, I want to get out of debt. Well, you think it is good, but it's not gonna happen, because the moment you're decreasing the amount of your debt, you feel good, and because you feel good, you're relaxed and you're going to become emotional and you purchase something and then you go to debt. So your debt is either minimal or maximum. It's not going to be over. So for as long as you say, I want to be out of debt, nothing is going to happen. If you seriously want to be out of debt, just say something. I want my balance to be positive in my bank account. $2,000 positive is enough, because you are in the positive zone. Okay? If you don't want to be sad, if you don't want to feel ashamed, then tell yourself, I want to love myself. I want to be confident. That's what I want. And I want to dress in a way that I like it. I want to feel happy when I look at the mirror, look into the mirror and I see myself. I want to be free. I want to be happy. I want to have peace of mind, and then become specific, because being positive is good. But at the same time, in order to create pictures, you have to be specific as possible. So the question is, what specifically do you want? If you can answer this question, you are going to enter the realm of the subconscious mind, and you're going to talk about it in the language of the subconscious mind. And your subconscious and unconscious starts absorbing and understanding what you truly want, and it makes sense for them. All right? That is the point. So I'm going to stop until here. And definitely, if there are questions, I would be able to answer. There is a question here. It's a private, but I can share with others. The question is, why sometimes we automatically do not like something, for example, specific accent or specific person, or some groups of people, or language of like some specific groups of people. Why we don't like, or sometimes we hate, is because, well, another rule of our unconscious mind is associations. Our mind, our unconscious mind, associates everything with everything. Something like that. All right. So if you come across something new, if you come across something something for the first time, okay, it is for the first time, but there are similarities that your unconscious mind can associate those people that you've experienced before to what you're experiencing right now. If the sum of what you experienced before is negative, you're going to make negative conclusions, or in other words, you feel negative. Okay? So, for example, if you are, let's say, okay, for example, if someone had a particular accent, and when you were talking to this person, he was his appearance was not pleasant to you or for you. Or, for example, if the person was not um, polite, or he was smelly, and you experienced something there, your mind associates the smell, the look, and the accent together and groups them in one. All right. When you go somewhere else and someone, totally a different person, talks to you with the same accent, all right, and your subconscious mind associates all those negative attributes, physical and auditory attributes, to this particular thing, and that's why we feel negative. Our mind works based on the rule of association, and those associations play very critical role in our perception of what is pleasant, what is not pleasant, not so pleasant. So the other question is which areas of the subconscious does hypnotherapy focus on? I will talk about it in the evening. I have two slides, or one slide, two slides basically, about hypnotherapy and hypnosis. And I will tell you, but hypnosis changes everything. Hypnosis can change assumptions, can change beliefs, can reformat your values, order your values, can either change your memories or even not remove, but change the intensity of your memories and the feeling that you get out of it. So all of this can happen, all of it. I will tell you, Katrina, after the break, when we come back in the evening session, for sure we have the two slides about hypnosis. And last question is how to increase our imagination power so that we can associate the right emotion to our imagination to make it powerful. For example, while we do the imagination, some negative thoughts may pop up, and of course that happens, which we should put it aside or transform it. Okay, this is also a good question. And I tell you this is interesting. Sometimes I ask people to imagine, okay? If a person has or holds a group of negative beliefs about himself or herself, when he or she wants to imagine, the subconscious mind resists. The subconscious mind says, oh, no, I can't think about it. I can't imagine it. Why? Because your unconscious mind is there to protect you and protect the beliefs that you already formed. I give you an example to make it easy. Let's say someone's challenge is relationships, okay? And she is full of negative memories and negative limiting beliefs about relationships. For example, she says, as I told you, I'm not lucky in my relationships. I am, no good person can be found. People are not loyal, and I cannot fall in love. If I fall in love, I feel hurt because they will leave me sooner or later. And I don't deserve that ultimate happiness or ultimate love. Or there is no such thing as love. That's also another limiting belief. Imagine someone has all this. And now you ask this person to imagine the ideal future, okay? In the context of relationship. She says, okay, she closes her eyes. And the moment she wants to consciously start imagining, what happens is there is a sound. There are negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative self-talks that suggest, oh, you cannot imagine. Why? Because the subconscious mind thinks this problem is too big and the emotions related to that are too large that it cannot be resolved. That's rule number 10. Your unconscious mind will repress the emotion in order to protect you, okay? It thinks it's protecting you. Because if you want to think about it, you're going to cry. She's going to cry, and lots of negative emotions will pop up. All right. So the idea will pop in the head that, oh, it's not going to happen. The easiest way is to forget about the question. You know what? I cannot imagine. My imagination is bad. That's also another limiting belief. Everyone can imagine. All right. So if we want to do something about it, the best possible way is this. And that's what I use almost all the time. I tell them, imagine in a world of possibilities, I want you to imagine that it is possible. If it would be possible, how would you like it to be? You understand? If it is possible, how would you like it to be? And this new assumption, if it is possible, is the critical factor here. Because it goes to the system, because the system, the unconscious mind says it is not possible. But there is an assumption for now, if it is possible, what would you like it to be? Or how would you like it to be? Then the mind is actually reframed, is thinking of the opposite because it's possible, all right? If not for me, at least I can imagine that it's possible, and that assumption can help you stop those negative thoughts, and you can start imagining. All right, so this is the end of our second quarter. I'm gonna